How did you decide to grow your beautiful, long, luscious hair?
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know.
Men, we're not used to getting compliments. How's it going, people? Jack here with another video. So after watching quite a few videos from I Did a Thing, I have been recommended by a bunch of people to check out a channel that he was featured in. Supposedly the channel that started it all. Now, this one, judging from the titles alone, from the different videos that I got to see there, it's quite interesting. I suppose this one is a slight bit more political in contrast to just the chaos that occurs in I Did a Thing. Amongst many of these videos, there was one that stood out to me, which has been mentioned in some of the comment sections before, regarding Brendan Herrera. I love the guy as well. There are certain things that I disagree with the guy, but I love the content that he puts out. We're not checking that video out today. I know it's a little bit controversial. That will be for another time. This one though is, I suppose, something that we can all agree on. Is kind of hilarious. This one is called "We Went to North Korea to Get a Haircut." Now, this is funny because North Korea is, in contrast to what many believe, not a country that's completely closed off. It's rather accessible. Like through China, you can do that. I know quite a lot of people actually personally that have visited North Korea. But I guess that the extent of my knowledge, beside the anecdotal stuff that I've heard, and of course what we sometimes get in the news, which can be conflicting, is through, I guess, three forms of media. One has been historical documentaries and stuff, and my knowledge about the Korean War. We've talked about that before in a video by the File Electrician. If you want to be interested in something like Operation Paul Bunyan, which he deconstructed pretty well, please make sure to check that out. Second would be a comedy slash documentary, mockumentary, if you want to call it that, made by two Danish comedians, one amongst whom is actually South Korean, called Simon Yule. He's an interesting guy, very funny here, but they went to North Korea and did basically the thing that The Interview did some years later. This movie is from 2009, by the way. And in there, they were supposed to make like a performance, a theater performance with a friend of theirs who was handicapped. The performance was kind of hilarious. There are a lot of funny things there. They are comedians after all.
Cat.
A little pussy. Pussy, that what
Yes,
does it
a
mean?
cat. A cat.
Pussy or with
No, a cat. In English, you can say pussy cat or cat. It's you know, a cat.
Pussy.
Meow.
meow. Pussy. Pussy.
Yes.
What does it mean?
Prepared a piece of equipment that can be used in the art of making pizza. The traditional way of making pizza. In and then out, you have a very hot oven. You make the pizza, put a nice thing on, not pineapple.
However, some of the things that they had to partake in weren't necessarily dangerous to them, but the type of thing that will make you shit your pants, like heading the march of one of those freedom walks to kind of show, at least the one that they tend to use to before they fire a missile, to showcase just how much they hate the West. And third would be things regarding that lady Yomin Park. She's a controversial figure. I know that some people have taken a liking to her because they support a cause of the thing that she says, because she eventually ended up being straight up a grifter. Like, no matter what you think about her experience, it is valid. Some of the things that happened in North Korea happened to her, certainly. However, she inflated and sometimes even took away from the stories of other survivors to add to her own, lying about that. Like, I want to have sympathy all the time for people's situation, especially people whom I disagree with, because that allows me to grow, to understand people better. But when you start using the suffering of others to like embellish yourself, that's straight up something that loses me completely. But I guess those three factors would be the things that mostly have educated me on North Korea. So hopefully I can provide you with some good commentary in this video though. But without further ado, let us jump into the haircut.
North Korea, the most dangerous country in the world. Infamous for its bizarre and brutal regime, run by a crazy dictator who won't let anyone in or out. But
So
these
angry.
guys, they just want a haircut.
That's a cool edit. Very good. Oh, that was rather loud. Here we go.
So, why would we go all the way to North Korea just to get a haircut?
Good question.
Well, to answer that question, we've got to open our history books to page 1. Korea.
Oh, we're going back before
Korea
the war.
spent the first
Oh boy. This ought to be interesting.
Korea spent the first half of the 20th century as a colony of the brutal Japanese Empire. As Japan withdrew after World War II, the Koreans gained independence, elected a socialist government, and things were pretty sweet in Korea.
For like a week.
For about 2 months. Cue the big fellas. The guys who had just won World War II decided to move in. So, they randomly divided the country along the 38th parallel, with the south under US control and the north under the Soviet Union. In the communist north, Kim Il-sung continued the land reform of the socialist government, forcing landlords and their sympathizers to flee south. But
Until-
in the south, things were a little bit trickier.
Yeah, Japan
The
came
Americans
back.
expelled the socialist government and brought back the Japanese guys that everyone loved so much. And whoever didn't love them was forced to flee north. Fueled by the two competing superpowers, this division led to all-out war in 1950 and, fearing the spread of communism, Uncle Sam and all his buddies went to town on the north.
Oh boy, yeah, this was a weird one. We had that discussion in the Fire Electrician video, where they even suggested dropping nukes over there. It was quite a grim period. One of the things that I think was especially bad was this constant proxy war that is led, that we observe all the time. We know the message usually of wanting to instill one's political system onto the country. The issue, however, is that when they tend to put a dude, usually it's like one dude that has to get his people to cooperate, they, however, destabilize the place and never chooses one that isn't corrupt. Like in the example of the Korean War, right? You had North Korea obviously getting Kim Il-sung in power, and while the divide was happening, they by they I mean the US, went on and got a guy, Sigmund Rhee, who had been removed, well actually to be a bit more specific here, fled from Korea because of his corruption. They got that guy, put him in power, and continued supporting him under the condition that he would uproot anything that was red in terms of political mentality. And he lived up to that, and also he executed a lot of leftists too. He was a right-wing nationalist, so he ended up doing that. Now, to put in perspective just how bad his influence has been on South Korea at the time, that the people who were waving flag to the likes of General MacArthur, I'm thinking about that guy because of the whole atom bomb situation. There's a bit more knowledge about that with the Fire Electrician video, but please watch that. It was so bad that the people who were waving flag, welcoming the likes of MacArthur to South Korea, were thinking to themselves, you know what, we can't be here. The condition of living are most likely better if we've moved to the north. They preferred to move to communism, and well, these people were promptly executed and put into mass graves. Yes, it was a bloody genocide, and the thing was that the US and said general just turned a blind eye to it and just continued backing him. And even worse, the resources that they even gave them to ensure that democracy and not communism was spread towards the country just went into his pocket to embellish himself and the people that supported his ideologies. But that being said, please do not misunderstand me. This is not me saying America bad. Even General MacArthur that I mentioned there is a bloody war hero, and the thing that he did during World War II and in Japan, and also, I apologize, for freeing South Korea were amazing, and they should be recognized, but we should also know the bad. My whole point is that there's something kind of strange when we, and by we I mean those who have adopted the mentality of the victor, tend to moral grandstand against the enemy as if the means of attaining said goal were not as bad, if not worse, than that of the opponent. That's just my point. Well, that was disturbing.
So, what do you think, Pretty touching. Tugs
No.
all the hearts.
No.
No.
I told you not to put that in there. You can't just have dead babies in the first minute of the documentary. No one's going to watch it now.
I would have said it's pretty eye-opening.
No, it was stupid. So, what do we know about North Korea today? Well, we know for a fact that even saying Kim Jong-un's name will boost your ratings no matter where you are in the world.
Kim Jong.
Le dictateur nord-coréen Kim Jong-un.
Prefer the name of his dad though. Kim Jong-il.
Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong. 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 Kim Jong.
This North Korean guy never fails to impress.
One of the most dangerous countries in the world today
can strike Americans where they live.
Even the school kids are ready for war.
The rogue state.
Oh yeah, rogue state. That's what you really use.
Threatening a preemptive nuclear attack.
The U.S. is increasingly being held nuclear hostage.
You can see dead people everywhere in the street.
With torture, rape, forced abortion, and execution.
Wow. That place seems absolutely awful. But surely it's not all bad news. I mean, they do normal stuff too, right?
No, nothing is normal. Not even the boring stuff. Not even haircuts.
Hold on. The whole thing about dead bodies everywhere, I'm not too sure about that.
New hairstyle that's getting a lot of attention.
Men now have to wear their hair just like their leader.
Under orders to get a Kim Jong-un haircut.
Have to cut their hair a la Kim Jong-un's
this doesn't make
distinctive
sense.
hairstyle.
And once again, edgy comedians, TV presenters, and advertisers all band together to make exactly the same joke.
To ask pedestrians, can we own you?
How many haircuts did you get today? Oon. You've been unified.
Understand how unbelievably weird North Korea is.
We're just going to take a little off the top.
That's so bad.
Justin Bieber. Anne Hathaway.
With a ridiculous haircut and nuclear arms.
You're not going to blow me up.
Come on.
Anne Hathaway.
I like Alex's face.
So, the only problem here is that the haircut law never existed.
If we dig through the sources back to the original article that started this viral story, we arrive in Washington, D.C.
It was a case of trust me, bro.
Radio Free Asia. The original article is based entirely on unnamed sources, quotes plucked out of thin air. But, regardless of its unverifiable origin, it gripped international media and everyone was ready to cash in. It seems an exciting news story comes out of North Korea every month.
The North Korean government has announced that it found a unicorn.
North Korean official was just...
Bro. Bill fucking O'Reilly. What a character.
executed for bad posture.
Apparently after slouching at a public event.
May have fallen asleep at a meeting. The regime often uses grotesque methods.
He was stripped naked, thrown into a cage, before being eaten alive by 120 starving dogs.
Kim and his brother observed the 1-hour ordeal.
Did you hear that one? That Kim Jong-un abducts squads of girls to pleasure him?
Handpicked based on good looks and measurement.
Holy shit. But did you hear about the time he tried to ban sarcasm?
I want you to know that your ban on sarcasm is a great idea.
Okay, kind of bullshit.
By the way, that haircut, amazing.
What the haircut law and all these other amazing stories share in common is that at the very center of this media whirlwind, they're based on absolutely nothing.
It starts to feel a little bit peculiar that every month we're bombarded by hundreds of identical copies of a lie, telling us that somewhere out there, there's a regime that enforces conformity and lies to its people.
Yeah, doesn't exist everywhere, right? Yeah, I get where they're going with this, but yeah, that's the unfortunate part sometimes. Like we have a term here that we call agurgitsu, which directly translates into cucumber time. When the news have nothing to say, literally, they start blocking up stories that make no sense, that are completely irrelevant. Like there are clearly atrocities going on in North Korea, but they are painted in this dark image, but for, I guess, irrelevant stories. Not all of them, obviously.
But just because these stories can viciously and frantically whirl around and multiply in popular media, doesn't mean everyone believes it. We decide to go test it out in Newtown. Located in Sydney's inner west, Newtown is a cultural hub for the alternative, progressive and free-thinking free spirits of the city, the exact opposite of North Korea.
This place is the cutting edge of edgy fashion. It's seriously cool. I mean, Coldplay filmed a music video here.
Okay.
We decided to see what the average Newtonian thinks.
Oh, that's really cool. To live in Newtown and being called a Newtonian. Are they affected by extra gravity there? Perhaps. No, like, obviously there is a certain, like, curated view that you are going to get of North Korea if you travel there, which they're going to be doing, right? I mean, we've most likely, I mean, I guess that you will as well, you viewer watching this video right now and paying a lot of attention to the words that I'm saying, most likely have seen the satellite pictures of North Korea and how that one is dark, yes? Because the country literally has no power. Like half of the country doesn't have it, electricity that is, and you have seen footage certainly of like cars that run on wood, like this. The center of Pyongyang, right, provided with a lot of fancy, schmancy buildings that look high-tech, but they are not occupied. Nobody is living in there. The employment is not driven in there. You get like a curated image of what the country is supposed to be like, but step a little bit outside of that framework and you see the actual chaos. It's like the equivalent of what you will see when you go to Hollywood, right? You get to see all of those fancy, beautiful images when you go to a tourist store, most likely, or on TV. But step a little bit outside from like the wrong corner and you'll see just people through Santa Monica Boulevard, just homelessness, sickness, poverty, all of it there, rampant crime.
Have you heard the news that every man in North Korea is required to get the same haircut as Kim Jong-un?
Have heard the news?
Yeah, something like that. It doesn't surprise me anyway.
Haircuts.
Yeah, like the same haircut that Kim Jong-un has.
Yeah, no, that's very old news.
Yeah. I mean, North Korea is renowned for a lot of bizarre puritanical concepts coming out of there.
Yeah, I have heard that. Yeah, that's correct.
Read that somewhere.
Wouldn't they all look like Kim Jong-un as well? I don't think you'd get mistaken for him everywhere. Especially over in North Korea. Yeah.
What if you want to grow up long like me, like, you know? It's the way of life. It's like everyone does it, and I think the law is probably like almost blurred between what their actual ideology is because they're so sort of brainwashed, I guess.
Do you think anything like this could ever be imposed in Australia?
Oh no. Are you kidding me? The whole point is like taking away individualism from people. That's always how it is. When you have a cult of worshippers for like an ideology of the leader who are not even going to question his choices, no matter the country, that's literally how it goes. It is this rare freedom that we have of questioning leadership and of course of individualism that is something that we tend not to cherish as much until we see it from a different perspective.
I reckon they'd have a hard time getting it to work in Newtown.
Definitely, like look where we are now.
Sound like a villain there.
Everyone is so different and unique.
Like Newtown, for instance, you know, we're too, you know, everyone dresses to their own, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Do you know why? Like,
just the nature of our political system and the level of freedom we have as individuals.
There is no real form of self-expression.
Exactly.
You know, take away individuality, really.
There we go.
I would not get the same haircut just because someone else is doing it. Not in Australia. No. It's too developed. No, it's impossible for me.
How did you decide to grow your beautiful, long, luscious hair?
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know.
Men, we're not used to getting compliments.
Yeah.
Of course, she takes the credit.
Just look the way they want to look.
Yeah, I agree with her.
How did you decide to grow such long, luscious hair? Your long, luscious hair. Such long, luscious hair.
Boost up confidence for the day.
Beautiful.
I like this.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I grew up, you know, on the beach pretty much where everybody just had long hair, so...
With all the surfer bros.
I saw his hair.
I live in Newtown, what do you think?
It turns out the worldwide North Korean clickbait epidemic is worse than we thought. We have to find out the truth for ourselves. We decided we had to get to the bottom of this once and for all. We have to go to North Korea.
Alex, can you just pretend you're running?
What?
Yeah, I'll put a green screen up. It'll look sick.
You sure?
Yeah, it'll look really, trust me.
Alright. We have to go to North Korea?
He never
to
did.
get a haircut. And there he was, Alexa, a dirty, disgusting hillbilly.
He does look like a dirty hillbilly. I was a bit more enamored with the trains there. They look like the ones that you can find in Hungary, in the metro stations. They're pretty cute. But yeah, I guess, I don't know. Are they the only ones that you can ride?
Alexa, a dirty, disgusting hillbilly. He had a large amount of hair, the majority of which he didn't want. And when he showed the hairdresser a picture of the exact amount of hair he wanted, they got rid of the unwanted hair, just like hairdressers do all over the world. And you know what? I think the North Koreans did a great job.
They seem to have. He's cleaned up at least. Bruh.
So, it turns out the North Koreans get haircuts just like everyone else in the world does.
Mm-hmm.
What an exciting adventure, eh? So, where does that leave us now? Well, the nukes are still a problem. North Korea's tested 4 of them, and that's very scary. But imagine how scary it is for them to think that the US alone has tested 1,032 nukes. Even then, we don't really need to test ours, because we know ours work.
Bruh.
We've used ours against real people. And you know what? We're not even sorry.
Obama will not apologize for Hiroshima attack, he tells Japanese TV. Well, I mean, this is the guy who literally said, Jonas Brothers, Predator drones.
You will never see it coming.
Yeah, of course not. Bringing up the whole thing there with the Korean War. Truman actually threatened to make use of a nuclear deterrent against North Korea during the war, but never got to do that. I think that he stationed planes in Okinawa just in case, but they never got deployed with actual fissile material. That was a lucky thing. Although MacArthur was like, nuke them to death. MacArthur was brutal. That's why Truman fired him, I think.
What about the news stories about slavery? Yes, it is very confronting to hear stories about slavery in North Korea. But for some reason, it's not quite as confronting to watch these stories on your television or your smartphone, which we know are made by slaves. And if you want to talk about the biggest slave drivers in the world, the only reason you're watching me right now is because you purchased a device which is made for you by your own personal slave. And you don't even know his name.
Excuse me? Do you know where the laundry detergent is?
Oh yeah, mate. Aisle 7, next to the sponges.
Thank you very much.
I mean, I think that we all recognize the fact that most of the devices that we're using are made through, at least some of them, through slave labor. I think that on my person right now, perhaps only not even my pants, those expensive piece of shit pants that actually they have some elastic material that is really annoying, but they were expensive because they last long and they were made in Europe. But I think the only thing was my shirt that I was pretty cheap and obviously made in China. So yeah, we are aware of that, our cellular devices and everything else. I don't think that most people are shying away from that.
What about the prison camps? I mean, it is pretty disgusting when someone does that to their own people. But at the same time, it's a little bit confusing. I mean, what is a prison camp? Like, we have prisons, sure, but the bad guys The bad guys always seem to have prison camps. It's as if our prisons are just great places.
Bruh.
You serious, Alex? It's as if our prisons are just great places to be. Our prisoners are known to burst into song and dance because, well, the amenities are so great and they get to go home when it gets dark. But the prison camps, oh boy, the prisoners are stuck there. They've got walls and guards and the prisoners get physically and sexually abused. No, prison camp is a useless word. It means nothing. And before you say, no, Alexa, the North Koreans, they put their people in prison for no reason and we don't do that in a democracy. Well, if that's the case, you might need to have a conversation with the Australian Indigenous community, or refugees in detention, or the Black Lives Matter movement in the States. I mean, these are just examples of people. They could tell you quite a bit about large groups being imprisoned for no reason.
Like, not too long ago, we had a case here in Denmark with like prisoners who have been jailed for like under false allegation, then released, who never get like compensation for that time. And unfortunately, it is written in the law that they don't do that, despite the fact that the people who incarcerated them made a mistake. The same thing was also with the case that also made the headlines recently in the US with that New York cop called the Closer, who arrested God knows how many people and forced them to make false allegations, false admissions to crimes that they never committed. Like, it happens so often in the US. It is scary.
So what do we do with this word? Well, we could either start saying that we have prison camps, or just that North Korea has prisons, which isn't much of a news story, is it? I think it would be much more interesting to focus on the country that has the highest prison population per capita.
US of A.
America.
What about the bizarre military parades? That's some pretty confronting stuff. But imagine how confronting it is for them that the largest military exercise in the world happens twice a year on their border, where the big scary guys that invaded them in the past practice invading them all over again. But for an organisation like the military, a parade is the cutest thing they can ever do. Because when an army isn't busy parading, they're busy killing people. In actual wars. And yes, North Korea was in the Korean War, and that sucks. But since then, the US has invaded Guatemala, Egypt, Lebanon, Panama,
Sorry, that sounded kind of
Vietnam,
stupid.
Dominican Republic, Cambodia, Laos,
No,
Angola.
Alex, you don't get this. The fact that the US has invaded more means that they are better, okay? More numbers means automatically better. They have superior aim in the thing that they do. That's why there's so many shootings. They actually hit their targets, okay? USA. Okay.
Iran, Libya, El Salvador, Nicaragua.
Yeah, to be fair, this is actually not a laughing matter, but
Bolivia, Virgin Islands, Philippines.
Alex, you're running out of space.
What do you mean? I haven't got to the 90s yet.
No, but you literally can't fit in any more countries.
What if I move my head like this?
No, look, you've made your point, just finish it.
Alright. But for some reason, North Korea is a dangerous, unpredictable rogue state, and America's just a normal country.
They tend to use these words like
rogue state,
Prisoner camps.
Death squad.
instead of just
Country. Prison.
The military.
and suddenly all the brutal stuff that we do doesn't seem quite as bad. Before you know it, we're trapped in this giant, never-ending NutriBullet commercial.
Juicers make juice, blenders make smoothies, but the NutriBullet makes supercharged superfood NutriBlast.
Death squads. They have death squads over there. So glad our army has nothing to do with death. This supercharged superfood NutriBlast is delicious. Fuck regular juice.
fuck regular juice. Oh boy.
It seems like all the scary stuff North Korea does, we do on a much larger scale. But then again, we've got pretty good excuses for our violence.
Oh boy.
We did not want it to come to this, but we have got to bomb those guys. It's about defending democracy. It's a question of basic human rights.
Don't call them slaves. Those workers in the third world, they're just more competitive. They just want it more.
I don't know. I feel like I've heard these excuses before. Come on, buddy. I'm the last guy that wants to throw you in a prison camp. It's just
straight to the
what I need
gulag.
to do. It's the Supreme Leader's word.
Look, mate. I know.
Let me
this doesn't
carve
look
your
good,
heart
but
out.
it's the sun god. He really wants your heart.
Yeah. Pokemon go to the polls.
We all have a unique way of justifying exploitation and violence.
And this goes across the political line. It's not that, well, I suppose, right? Judging from the channel there, and again, the aforementioned videos that titles that I've seen, these two are most likely more left-leaning, but great of them to hold accountable leaders from both parties. Because at the end of the day, of course, also the news, which is surprisingly very biased in the US, contributes to this issue.
The main difference between North Korea and us is that we're winning. Our violence is the strongest. But in order for this media spectacle of North Korea to work, we've got to see the country as this bizarre, violent, rogue state, as this thing that's so different and such a threat to our peaceful and secure international system. But what this process does is it tries to make you forget that our international system has abused mankind far worse than anything this dictator of that tiny country could ever dream of. So what we need to do is we need to agitate and organise to take down...
I heard the anthem there. No, we are not getting into communism.
Imperialism once and for all. You know, Vladimir Lenin...
Thank you.
No, I had more.
Thank you, Alexei. You proved your point. It was very enlightening. You can take a seat.
This guy.
Fuck, that was depressing. Let's get some happy music or something. Here we go. Here's something you don't see every day. People having a great time in North Korea. Take it away, girls.
I mean, the thing is this. I love that they are trying to humanize people more. Even if this is like, you know, somewhat fake to a certain degree. I appreciate that. Because while the country might be ruled by a monster, it's important to know that the people might not share their views. They are normal individuals like the rest of us. What are these guaylos doing? I know, wrong term. This is more Chinese, but... Sorry. This, on the other hand, though, is absolutely dystopian. Indoor football. What in the actual hell?
This filming? Yeah. So before you say we're unpatriotic traitors for making a film like this, here's a video of Alexa singing the beautiful national anthem on a North Korean bus.
Bruh.
History's page, let every stage advance Australia fair.
That's a good video. It was a good one. I liked it a lot. The thing is this, right? As I've mentioned, I know some people who travel over there. They also either do it for studies or journalists as well. And from what I was told, it was that certain of the agencies that actually are working through like embassies and stuff are being shut down because obviously the country does not have the means to maintain those things. They don't have money, especially with the recent conflicts and the reliance on sometimes China and as well as Russia. But since the conflicts have been taking some of the resources away, they have resorted into closing businesses from, well, from the outside world. And since they are not cooperating with any other agency and the tourism is state funded, yeah, that's how it goes. The thing with the video is that I appreciate that they are humanizing people. It's not always that we remember that the other side, people that might seem like the enemy, are just like us, and the terminology that we tend to use to describe them is actually not far from the things that we also do. But yeah, this was interesting. But guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. As always, please do make sure to go and subscribe to Boy. I will definitely be watching more of their videos. And of course, if you like this one and the commentary that I provided, don't forget to hit that like button and of course, the notification as well to see whenever I upload something new. That being said, wish you all to have a wonderful day. See you guys in the next one. Bye.